The Lobo Coaches Show is brought to you by Bud Light and Bud Light Seltzer, the perfect matchup. Enjoy responsibly. Hello again, and welcome into your Lobo Coaches Show. I'm your host, Robert Portnoy, with the women's basketball coach at UNM, Mike Bradbury, and it's great to be on the concourse, the legendary pit with you, Coach Bradbury, to talk about a split with Fresno State. First off, how are you and your team doing?
Doing good. It's nice to be back home. We're back here for a couple days before we hit the road again.
I know you're getting back out on the road. There are a few weeks left and, pushing to the finish line, but overall feelings about playing the best team in the conference toe-to-toe in back-to-back games. You split them.
Yeah, it was good. It was what we kind of needed at the time, I think, to see where we were. I thought we responded good, and was happy with the weekend and the way we played. Even though we didn't get game 2 to go our way, I still like the way we played.
Amazing to think what you just said, though. You were trying to find out where you are as a team, and we're really at the midpoint of the conference schedule in terms of the calendar, and you're still learning about your squad.
Absolutely. It's completely different this year, and our kids have embraced it, so it's made it a little easier.
What about the nature of the win in the first game of this series? Because that's something that you can look back on at any point in the year and use for positive reinforcement when you win a close one like that.
It is, and I think it gives our kids some confidence, and belief at the end of the games. Our execution was good, and it needed to be. So hopefully we can carry that forward when we're in our next close one.
So the Lobos split with Fresno State. We're going to come back and break down highlights of Game 1 with Coach Bradbury right after this on your Lobo Coaches Show. The Lobo Coaches Show is brought to you by Bud Light and Bud Light Seltzer, the perfect matchup. Enjoy responsibly.
Decorative towel.
There was a mess. I wiped up a mess.
Yeah, you
When game day is a go, there's a Bud Light there.
Welcome back into your Lobo Coaches Show with the women's basketball coach at UNM, Mike Bradbury. I'm Robert Portnoy. Game 1 of 2 between the Lobos and Fresno State was awesome. Let's break down the highlights of the Lobos' 82-80 victory over Fresno State with Coach Bradbury. So right off the tip here, Coach B?
Yeah, we got off to a great start here. Got a little penetration there, and Shy cutting along the baseline. We got off to a great start. Defensively, we were really good, contested shots, and then we got the rebound. So that just allows us to play in transition. Both times, the biggest thing on the first 2 layups in transition were us being able to get the rebound. And you'll see, a little later that becomes a problem.
You guys jump out to an 8-0 lead at the start of this game, a super fast start, and it looked like everything was going right at the beginning.
It was. We get up 10-0, they call timeout and make some adjustments, then they went 13-0 on us, and then we call timeout, and then from that point on, it was back and forth the whole way. But this is all zone offense. They played all zone until the last possession in the first game, and our zone offense was really good. Our execution was good. We got good shots, and it allowed us to get offensive rebounds like you saw Shy get there.
I remember the last time we talked, you talked about the way that your offense needed to run with pace, and I guess the movement of the ball and the pace in the half court against the zone is so critical. It looks like the crisp cutting, great, ball movement, everything was working.
It was, and it was way better in this game than it was in game 2. For whatever reason that was, but you can see mainly in the whole first half here, we were, we played out in transition the whole time, and that's where we're at our best.
So what about the start of the second half here? You guys got off to the great start at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, wasn't bad. It just kept going back and forth and back and forth. Throughout this whole game. I mean, I don't think the lead got above 6 either way, after those first 2 initial bursts.
You mentioned that they zoned you much of the game. How did you defend them in the first game?
We played all man until the last possession. So it's odd. We played all man, last possession we played zone, and they did the exact opposite.
One thing that I've noticed too is that your guards have done a great job, in particular Jaden De La Cerda. Obviously, when they have to honor the three-point shot, you take them off the dribble, and she's been able to get to the rim a couple of times.
She has, and she's been really good and really good offensive player. And in this game, AT continually caught the ball in the middle of the zone, and that was big for us.
How about that pass fake right there for an open three?
Huge shot right there. It was the beginning of the fourth quarter, and they'd cut it to 1.
Beautiful. And obviously, when you get late and the basket opens up like this and you guys can make threes, that's enormous.
Yeah, it really is. Karina came in and gave us some great minutes there to start the fourth quarter and the last 4 or 5 minutes of the third quarter. It was huge. And then, we finished around the basket against the zone too when we had to drive it. They started taking the 3 away, and we had to put it on the floor a little bit, and our guards really finished over their bigs around the basket.
Yeah, that last dribble drive we saw a moment ago, Elise Hurst, and obviously such a great three-point shooter. When she can take it off the dribble too, that makes her really tough to guard.
Yeah, absolutely. A big basket there. Clearly, we're down 4 with 2 to go, and needed something there. We went to the trap here, got ourselves a turnover. Now we can play in transition again.
And here it is again. I've been really impressed with the way Jaden finishes at the rim. She's got that scoop shot down a little up and under. She can go reverse with it. Very dexterous around the rim.
Yes, and that was the game winner. Great execution. Jaden was the decoy in that play. Huge execution. This is where we went zone, and Elise got the deflection. Obviously the 2 biggest plays because they were the last 2, but you can see right there they were trying to get it to the elbow to their best player, and Elise was able to take that away.
Just phenomenal awareness, athleticism, so many superlatives that I can put on that last play by Elise Hurst. So the anticipation, the leaping ability to get the deflection, but to me the best part of the whole thing, Coach, is as she's going down, and we know that if you go to the ground and you roll in any way, they can call it travel. And she starts to dribble. As she's going down to the floor and spinning, she keeps the dribble alive, so that can't happen, and the last couple of ticks come off the clock. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. She was in that spot for a reason. She's a great defender, our best defender, and she made the play. And we needed her to make the play, and she came up big.
Okay. Tell us about the side out-of-bounds play that wins it.
We had worked on it, and each of our coaches have different things that they're in charge of, and Val does the majority of the offense, Bill does late game situations, Simone does a lot of defense, and we had been working on that play, and Bill brought it to me, a couple of weeks ago, and so we worked on it. And then all we have to do is when we get the plays, from wherever we get them from, is tweak them to our personnel. And in that situation, we were going to run that play, and then I picked the shooter, and that was our biggest mismatch at the time. So that's who we went to, and Shai delivered. And
you picked that because of the quickness difference, right?
Right. That was the biggest thing on that particular play, and we had enough time to run it. That's a 3-second play. Okay, so we have several 3-second plays and several 12-second plays. And with I think 5.5 left, we had to run a 3-second play, and we were able to execute, and Shai delivered.
And you felt that Shai, from that position on the floor, facing up against her defender, she had the ability to get around her.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the play we were going to run. We just had to pick the player, so the drive was going to be from there.
Well, it was beautifully executed, and then obviously you defend. That's another indication of how big the ability to advance the ball and be able to enter that ball in the front court with just 2 seconds left. That's changed the end game in the college women's game.
It has. I think it makes for great excitement. It's really what everybody does, and it just creates a much better opportunity. With 2 seconds to go the length of the floor. It's usually some kind of half-court heave or a baseball pass that gets deflected. Here you've got a legitimate chance to get a great shot.
There's a reason we've only seen the Christian Laettner play happen one time.
Exactly, and it's been tried 1,000. So yeah, that's right.
All right, 82-80, scintillating win for the Lobos over Fresno State in Game 1. Back with Game 2 highlights next. The Lobo Coaches Show is brought to you by Bud Light and Bud Light Seltzer, the perfect matchup. Enjoy responsibly.
I miss the kids. Do they miss me?
It's been really hard being apart from everyone.
I don't know, babe. I'm not sure when we'll be together again.
It's been so hard taking care of the kids all day by myself.
I'm so sad that I won't be with the family.
I just hate being separated from everyone.
Back on your Lobo Coaches Show, brought to you by Bud Light and Bud Light Seltzer. I'm your host, Robert Portnoy, with women's basketball coach at UNM, Mike Bradbury. Time to break down Game 2 highlights of the Lobos series with Fresno State. How about these videos for the introductions, Coach Bradbury?
Great idea. Our whole department's been doing a great job all year, and this was a great idea to have the videos before the game. Our kids really enjoyed that.
Looks like the transition early in this game, just like we saw in the first game.
Yeah, it was, kind of back and forth again. The whole first half, first 3 quarters of this game, and our transition offense was really good. Our half-court offense was not quite as sharp in this game as it was in the game before. And the similarity in both games was, unfortunately, we didn't shoot the 3 very well, at really at all. I mean, 6 for 30 and 7 for 34, but we persevered and were able to, make enough plays to stay in the game.
You definitely stayed in the game throughout the entire first half. It was, as things moved into the second half, where Fresno started to control things a little bit.
Yeah, and we just battled. They looked more fluid. We were down 1 with 4.5 to go in the third. And continued to play and compete. We just couldn't make enough threes to overcome when they did get ahead. But you could tell here, you could if you were at the game, where I was, it was you could sense things were different, and it's still a 1-point game. That with about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, things were just we didn't have it anymore for whatever reason, and so they started to pull away, and we called a bunch of timeouts in a row to try to fight it off, but just couldn't do it.
We've talked about these, series. Is this one of the times where you definitely noticed maybe a little bit of fatigue in terms of the second of the 2 games?
I don't know, Robert, if it's fatigue or what it is, but we didn't have it, in the last, probably 8 or 9 minutes of the game, and you can tell. I mean, the Twins got going for them. Back-to-back threes there. Maddie Udy was hurting us, defending player of the year. It just got away from us pretty quick, and we just couldn't get it stopped.
That was Haley Cavender with a step-back 3 there at the end of that highlight reel. Go back to the first half of the second game, and something that I noticed in both games, and it looked like it was working in the first half. I love when you get the open 3 off of a post entry. And I saw it from the high post, actually. One of your bigs flashed the free throw line, was able to get it to a wing for a wide open 3. Were you getting the good looks? They just weren't going down?
Yeah, we got good shots. We didn't shoot like we normally do. And we did shoot better when it came from inside out. than just kind of moving it around the perimeter. But we got enough touches in the paint. Even in game 2, we just weren't quite as sharp.
I remember mentioning the pace of the way the offense operated in the first game. Wasn't quite there in the second game?
Wasn't as fast, and our defense wasn't quite as good, so we didn't get to play in transition as much, so it was just a combination of all those little things, and when you play a really good team that's so potent offensively like they are, you've really got to execute.
All right, so the Lobos fall in game 2 against Fresno State, but still just 2 conference losses for UNM, right there at the top of the standings with everything in front of them. We'll talk about that with Coach Bradbury right after this.
Larry H. Miller dealerships have helped over 20 million service customers. To put it in perspective, if we served 1 customer every minute and started right now, we wouldn't be done for 38 years. How have we kept so many customers happy? We have decades of experience with master-trained technicians who can handle the routine jobs and tackle the toughest repairs from our state-of-the-art facilities located near you. 20 million jobs done right. Schedule yours at a Larry H. Miller dealership or online at lhmauto.com.
Back to wrap up this edition of your Lobo Coaches Show, brought to you by Bud Light and Bud Light Seltzer. I'm Robert Portnoy with Lobo women's basketball coach Mike Bradbury. Coach Bradbury, so a split with Fresno State. You said, once again, in your opinion, the best team in the conference, and you guys have just 2 losses. You're right there at the top of the league. What about at this stage in the season where your team is right now?
Well, I like where we're at, especially given the circumstances. Our kids' attitudes are good. We've worked extremely hard. They play extremely hard, very coachable. So I like, they're fun to be around. Being on the road this much and traveling this much, it's nice to have this group.
Well, and you're going to be on the road for the rest of the season, but I guess that, they're prepared for this now. They've done it for so long. It's just, let's just keep grinding.
Yeah, that's been their mindset, up to this point, and hopefully we can make it 4 more weeks, and finish it out.
And you've gotten the Utah State games rescheduled. What about the way the schedule lays out for you now the rest of the way?
It gets a little busier, and it's a little more condensed, but, as from a player's perspective, that means less practice, more playing. So, they're probably happy about that too.
That should bring some smiles to their faces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Games are always good. All right, so the next 2 games coming up are San Diego State. What about the Aztecs?
Very talented. Always got good players. They can put it on the floor, and they can beat you up driving the ball. They make some shots too. Shoot almost 35% from the 3. Very dangerous team. Always good defensively. They bring a lot of challenges for sure.
Well, you've told us what they like to do offensively. How do you challenge their defense? Can you get something done inside maybe?
Well, hopefully we can, move the ball and play with the right pace. Even in the half court, play with the right pace. And I think we'll get the shots we want if we can execute the way we're supposed to.
Well, this has been fun, sitting on the concourse with the legendary pit floor behind us, Coach Bradbury. Thanks for being with us on the Lobo Coaches Show, and we wish you best of luck against San Diego State.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it.
All right, from Mike Bradbury and Chase Christensen and the entire crew, I'm Robert Portnoy. That'll do it for us for now on your Lobo Coaches Show. So long, everybody, and go Lobos.